In this class, we learned that plays have parts. I am going to give my opinion about 4 of those parts. The parts are plot, character, and theme, and spectacle. I saw the play Ghost at Iona University. This is what I thought about the 4 parts of the play. Part 1, the plot. The exposition. In the theater, the exposition in the background of the characters / the plots and the setting, it was hard for me to understand the exposition because of the distracting sounds in the background, like loud rain, and the way that the characters talked to each other. The characters yelled at each other and said things to hurt each other, which made it hard for me to want to understand what they were saying and doing and why. It made me not care about any of them or the plot. When I see a play, I want to know who the characters are and why they are doing what they are doing. In this play, the characters talked in a way that showed me how unlikable they all were. And that was the background I took away. I thought the play was about the way that Mrs. Alving was taking care of her son. She knew that what was going to happen was going to be bad, but she told him it was going to be okay. A specific example of how she did that is that her son kept asking her to give him poison to end his life and acting like a mean drunk. She responded with questions in a quiet voice and a calm voice. That is how I understood who she was. Mrs. Alving was lying then, and lied throughout the play. I didn't understand that she was lying when I was watching the play, because the opening background was so confusing and made me want to leave. I also didn't know that there was a conflict between the mother and son. I thought that they were kind of happy and the kind of people I didn't like who kept arguing because they liked arguing. I found out later that they were upset because of the lies and that the father gave an STD to his son. Now, the conflict. In theater critiques, conflict means that there is a silent struggle that moves the play forward. I think they did a good job of showing conflict by a lot of yelling and arguing. This play showed a real life problem that happened in the play and happens to other people. And that will always happen. The actors did exceptionally well on it, which in my opinion is really good. Mrs. Alving tried to make it look like she had a respectable family by taking care of her son until she was tired. Caring for a sick son until you get tired is respectable because other people like to see mothers care for their children. After I saw the play, I read that she paid for the orphanage, which is also respectable, but I didn't know that watching play. So they didn't do a great job at showing that she tried to look responsible by running the orphanage. I thought that was one of the other characters who was in charge of the orphanage, but I couldn't tell who. I thought it was important that they were trying to care for the children, but didn't think it was part of the conflict, even though it was supposed to be the main part of the struggle to be respectable. I think the play did great at showing that the family was not respectable because they kept arguing and fighting, and they kept acting very sketchy. Over time, it became clear that they were not people who you would like. The son kept complaining and was always tired and sitting and didn't care about other people. He sounded like he was always drunk. Mrs. Alving didn't sound like she cared about anyone except for her son. The play was supposed to show me that their father had cheated and died from an STD, but the exact way they weren't happy wasn't clear. It wasn't clear because they didn't talk about it in the play, in the way that I heard. The background and opening of the play was so confusing that it didn't give me any clues about STDs or cheating. Now, the climax. In critiques, the climax is the biggest drama, which ends the conflict. In the climax, I saw that there was a situation that turned into a fire that made most of the characters scared. When the orphanage burned down, Mrs. Alving couldn't replace the orphanage. It wasn't insured. She also couldn't pretend that she was respectable because of the orphanage because it was gone. In my opinion, I believe the characters would have shown more fear as that would have been more realistic after the fire. Instead, after the fire, the characters didn't act emotionally. They talked in voices that were a little higher than before, but not a lot. Now the denouncement. In theater, denouncement is the final part of the play, where loose ends are tied up. These are the loose ends in my critique of them. Regina was biologically related to two people, her father and her brother, and she finally learned about that. In my opinion, it's very disgusting that the play had to show that. Oswald is ready to die from his sickness. His mother has to accept that her son is going to die. I feel there should have been more emotions for the mother and son. They didn't show many. In the end, I saw that there was no happy ending, as the son had a disease that he got from his father who should have loved him, and he was always drinking. The others were not happy, especially after the fire, either. I wish there was more of a happy ending, though, because sometimes a dark story is too much. The four elements of the play were hard to understand because that the production made it difficult, and the problems that the people had in the play didn't seem like problems that are important now, because we don't have them anymore. We can cure STDs and don't hate people with diseases anymore, like they did then. We try to help people who are alcoholics instead of judging them. Now, part 2, the characters. The actors who played the characters basically did a good job. They were experienced actors and basically seemed to show what the characters are doing. The clothes they wore were great and sleek. The actors could have been better, though. One of the actors, who was a college student, played Pastor Manders, who's meant to be old. That actor did not seem old in the way he looked. Acted, moved, and talked. The actor that played the son also could have done better. He was talking like he was drunk and yelling mostly. But there was more going on emotionally, and he could have shown more emotion. The actor for the mother, I believe, should have been more serious because it is pretty serious and emotional when the mother is asked to poison her own son. Now, part 3, the theme. In theater, the theme is the big idea. In this play, the big idea was about ghosts. The son got sickness and shame from his father. There were old problems that you couldn't see, just like ghosts. The mother is worried about old social rules that you cannot see, just like ghosts. The ghosts got in the way of their being good people. Part 4, the spectacle. While watching the play Ghosts by Ibsen, I noticed that the background looked a little too bare. I believe if a play takes place in a section of a house, there should be more decorations to help make the background feel more alive and interesting, and show you something about the people, even if it is just showing you something bad. I also noticed that there was a background noise of rain that took away from the play. I also noticed that there was background rain noise took away from the play. Sorry about that. It seemed loud, which did not make sense since people were inside. Also, the rain was so loud that it made it hard to hear what the people were saying. I also think that the background did a good job. I like the set design, where they put the furniture, the plainness of the background made the place suspenseful. But I didn't know what was coming next. I also liked the placement of the furniture, like the chairs, the tables. They made the inside feel more alive. Also, the color grading of the set was perfect for the drama. How they used color, the house looked like a dark log cabin, which looked cozy in the rain. Now, for my closing. These are my opinions. The play was hard to follow. I didn't really understand that the play was about following social rules. It seemed to be about a mother and son. More than anything, but I did like the costumes. Some of the actors were better than others. The theme was about old problems that don't go away, like ghosts. Because the characters were so disgusting, it was hard to listen to them and care about what they were doing, which is my main problem with the play.